There's no real difference between a Corbynista and the mass media in general. The mass media believe that if you criticise any part of Islam, then you are a bigot, a racist, an idiot, uneducated, and so on. And a Corbynista feels exactly the same way. However, what I tend to find is that the far left, which are the Corbynistas, tend to be the worst racists of all. And I go back on my video in reference to low expectations of other ethnic groups. Mark here is a typical Corbynista. He listens to the media, he believes it because it's a part of his own rhetoric, it's part of his own mindset. He believes that Gerald Batten is a racist and a bigot, or he's getting down that way and taking UKIP down that way because he's taken the stage at a Football Alliance protest. That Football Alliance protest, by the way, was against terrorism and against grooming gangs. But he doesn't really want to talk about that. He just wants to talk about how UKIP are now not really any better than the British National Party, the racists of the UK. Now, I'm going to let you watch this video, hear all the points he's got. Mark is aware that I'm doing a video because I've commented on this one and also another one, so he can then look at it. I'm not going to edit it in any way. You're just going to see his full video, and then you're going to see a video of Gerald Batten on Sky News killing all the points that this man talks about, because it's exactly the same points as they talk about on the Sky interview. Enjoy this, guys. Please subscribe, please hit that button, and I will see you soon. Take care.
Hi folks, welcome to Mark My Words. Now, I've become increasingly concerned recently about the rise of far-right politics in the UK, especially in England, and UKIP is certainly no exception to this. Since they've become led by Gerard Batten, they've got more and more open with their Muslim baiting, I suppose you could call it, and associating themselves with rather unsavoury characters. Now, it's a UKIP conference starting tomorrow. Here in The Guardian it says, further shift to right by UKIP may prompt party exodus, says insiders. Members fear Gerard Batten will push ahead with plans to reshape party at conference. It carries on. Large numbers of UKIP members could consider leaving the party if Gerard Batten makes further moves to reshape it as a hard-right populist movement at its annual conference in Birmingham. Moderate activists will be particularly alarmed if the two-day gathering, starting on Friday, sees Batten push ahead with his apparent plan to seek UKIP membership for anti-Islam activist Tommy Robinson. Now that's important because for a long time now UKIP have had the rule that nobody who was previously a member of the BNP or the EDL was allowed to join UKIP. Tommy Robinson of course founded the EDL, so you can't get much more banned than that. But Gerard Batten wants to overturn this, it seems, whether it's a political move because he likes Tommy Robinson or he's just trying to piggyback on his publicity. I'm not sure, probably a bit of both. The story carries on. In a sign of a ascendancy of Batten, it will hear from two controversial YouTube personalities who have been brought into UKIP as part of an attempt to reshape it for a post-Brexit age. So that's a big idea, is it, Gerard? Bring in some YouTubers. This will include a speech by Mark Meeshan, who makes videos under the name Count Dankula. He styles himself as a comedian and free speech advocate, but remains best known for being fined after he posted an online video of his girlfriend's pug dog giving Nazi salutes. Hashtag classy on that one, I think. There will also be a video address by Carl Benjamin, otherwise known as Sargon of Akkad. His content is based more around opposition to Islam, and he has been accused of misogyny and abuse and of provoking Twitter rape threats. UKIP sources said a significant number of disaffected members were closely watching to see whether Batten, who took over unopposed in April, saying he would only serve for a year, shows signs of seeking to permanently change the party. So the signs aren't good. It looks like UKIP's going further and further to the right, and this weekend Gerard Batten actually attended a rally by the Democratic Football Lads Alliance up in the northeast. Obviously they are seen as the latest evolution of the far right in the UK, following on from the BNP, then the EDL, and now these Football Lads alliances. If you look, I'm going to play a clip now, and it's going to show Gerard Batten at the rally being interviewed by somebody from Sky News. Just a short clip, watch this.
This is the Football Lads Alliance March. I mean, how do you feel associating UKIP's name with that?
I've already given talks to their groups. Lots of them have joined us. They are democratic. As you can see, they're against extremism of any kind.
So as you can see, folks, what Gerard Batten says in that clip is not only that he has addressed these Football Lads Alliance rallies before, but that many of them have joined us, he said. So therefore there are these Democratic Football Lads Alliance folks already in UKIP. So who are the people that should be worried about this sort of thing? Obviously Muslims and people of other races and religions that the Football Lads Alliance and apparently the leader of UKIP and the membership of UKIP do not like. But they aren't the only ones, ladies and gents. Because look at this. A few months ago in London, it wasn't a mosque or a shop selling the Quran that these UKIP folks decided to attack. It was a socialist bookshop in London. So it's a case of first they came for the Muslims and we did nothing because we wasn't a Muslim. Then they came for the socialists, and then they'll be going for the LGBT community, they'll be going for Jewish people, they'll be going for Hindus, Sikhs, and anybody who doesn't believe in their way of life or act and think like they do, which thankfully is a lot of people. Now obviously this shift to the far right from UKIP could in the end come to nothing, but I think really we do need to keep our eyes on this and resist this drift towards far right extremism at every turn if we can. So that's pretty much all I've got for you tonight, ladies and gents. If you want to like and subscribe my videos, you're more than welcome. Subscribe button floating around here somewhere. But I will leave you with this lovely picture of Gerard Batten and the racist thugs of the Democratic Football Lads Alliance up in Sunderland at the weekend. Take a look at them. If they get into government, that could be the future of our country, or even if they manage to infiltrate the Conservative Party, this is what we could be looking at on our front bench at some point. The racist scum of Sunderland. Right, thanks for watching. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.
As being a major player on the political stage. Some would say that you're moving towards the far right, or you're actually courting the far right. How would you address that criticism?
All right. Let me address it this way. For the last 25 years, and myself and everybody in UKIP has worked to restore our country's former status as an independent democratic nation that's governed by our politicians, elected by us, sackable by us, in accordance with our traditional laws and customs and constitution. Now, if that makes you far right, then I think whoever thinks that has got a very strange idea about what constitutes far right politics.
Well, what about
we have always been a democratic party.
Bringing Tommy Robinson into UKIP?
Well, first of all, that's something that isn't going to happen in the near future. The rules would have to be changed to allow that to happen. As I'm on record of saying, I think that that is something that I personally would approve of, but it's a matter for the party. It's their decision. It's not mine. I'm not a dictator, and I'm going to gauge the mood of the party on that as I mingle around today. I'll be very busy over the next 2 days talking to many of those 1,000 people who are coming and see how they feel about it.
But it was your decision to attend a rally organised by the Democratic Football Lads Alliance. Their Facebook page criticised for racist rants continuously, and you spoke on their platform, a platform after which arrests were made.
Yes. And that is that. I'm glad you've raised that, because you give me an opportunity to comment on the absolute disgraceful coverage of that by Sky News. When you portrayed that as an anti-Muslim rally, let me. Well, I'm just about to tell you, because it wasn't an anti-Muslim rally. It was a rally on behalf of justice for women and children, victims of sexual abuse, that I went along to talk because they invited me. The DFLA actually organised the rally, and the people who caused the violence at that meeting, we've had a chance to investigate that, and we know the names of those people, and none of them were members of the DFLA. They were not followers of DFLA.
But
they were interlopers who deliberately came in order to cause violence.
You did stand on a stage.
It would be great if you actually...
You did stand on a stage and talk about sexual crimes, attributing them to a religion, the religion of Islam. That's on record.
And I'm not the only person to do that, because people who have studied the ideology of the religion, it does actually, traditionally, throughout its history, make sex slaves legitimate. That's possible. Their prophet had sex slaves.
That's not the ideology
of
Islam.
There is...
That's not the ideology of Islam.
Do you know about Islam? It's in the Hadith and the Quran. It's a tradition that's okay to do that, and people take their prophet as the model for all time and a perfect human being. So if he did something, then it's okay for other people to do it. The problem is with the ideology, not individuals. I have never attacked individuals. I always talk about the ideology, and the ideology is the problem.
But you're attacking the entire religion of Islam, which doesn't espouse to actually advocate sex before marriage. Many attributes. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It does allow people to take their followers to take sex slaves who are not of the same religion. Kuffars, infidels, can be taken as sex slaves. It's one of the conditions of warfare that they have. So it's no good telling me and the world that it doesn't happen, because everybody knows it does happen. And as for ideologies, I'm against totalitarian ideologies. I hate communism, hate Nazism. I don't want to live in any way, shape or form under a totalitarian ideology. And if you look at every country in the world where Islam is predominant, they're either very repressive regimes or are they regimes that are in conflict internally. And I think that is something that we have to be very wary of.
When you speak about particularly the situation in Rotherham, and that was something that you spoke about on the platform, you isolate that as a Muslim crime. You never, for instance, speak about the crimes of the Catholic Church in terms of sexual abuse of children. Why is it that you don't speak on a broad spectrum? You isolate it to Islam.
Well, I was on there talking about specific victims, and if you read, there's a very good book on this whole subject called Easy Meat by Patrick McLaughlin, which details all of this over about 30 years, 20 or 30 years, and how it's been swept under the carpet. And it is predominantly people who follow that religion who are causing this problem on a national scale, which is the industrialized sexual exploitation for money and for their own perverted purposes. So that happens to be a fact at the moment. I'm happy to condemn paedophilia and child abuse and sexual abuse wherever it occurs. I don't have a problem with that. As far as I'm concerned, it's a reprehensible crime, whoever commits it, and I'm happy to... Well, you're asking me now, so I'm condemning it. You know, if I'm invited to speak... I was invited to speak at that event. I can only go to an event that I'm invited to speak at. And so I think also, although you have those crimes in other institutions, we know they go on everywhere, they have no ideological justification. They have no basis which people could argue that this is permissible under the branch of that ideology that they choose to follow. And
your predecessor, Nigel Farage, took great care to make UKIP a mainstream party. He has said that you should be advised as to the company you keep. On the platform that you spoke at that rally, he suggests that perhaps you shouldn't be keeping company with the DFLA. What do you say to that?
What I would say to that is that I wonder why Nigel said that, because Nigel is friends with Donald Trump, that a lot of people like and call names. Nigel has gone to speak on platforms in Germany with Alternative for Deutschland, which a lot of people don't like and call names. And he's entitled to do that because they are democratic parties. And I'm entitled to speak at rallies organised by people who believe in democracy as well. So I think that maybe he should be a little bit more careful about criticising me.
But from somebody as yourself,
he has done similar things.
You've called Islam a death cult. Do you think you are the right person to be speaking on such a platform, and you're objecting about Islam and Muslims?
Well, why would they can invite other people as well if they want to. There's plenty of democratic politicians out there that they can invite. It depends who would accept that invitation and go and speak for them. A lot of people don't want to address this problem because they're too frightened to talk about it. I meet people all the time now. This isn't just in relation to this issue, but now people are fearful of speaking out because they are losing free speech. It can have consequences for their jobs and careers. I feel that I have a moral responsibility to say what I think is true, because I'm in a position to do it. I'm a leader of a party. I don't need a job next year. I can retire. I can go off and get my pension. There are other people out there who've got jobs and livelihoods, and they are becoming increasingly frightened and fearful of even admitting they're members of a political party or stand for Brexit or have other views which are perfectly permissible. But it's becoming more difficult in our current climate for actually to express those views. We've got police forces who too busy, can't be bothered to investigate burglaries, but can come around and knock on your door because you say something on Twitter they don't agree with.
Well, just one last point. For those that might say UKIP is a racist party, I'd just like you quickly
You're determined to go down this road, aren't you?
To justify these elements in your manifesto. You want to repeal hate speech guidelines. You want to repeal the Equality Act of 2010. You want to shut down the Equalities and Human Rights Commission. And you want to shut down the Government Equalities Office. Yeah. That's hardly in keeping with diversity and a multicultural society, is it?
All right. First of all, we had perfectly good laws against incitement to hatred, incitement to violence, causing public disorder. The problem with the hate crimes is it's what anybody's perceived notion of a crime is, and it doesn't even have to be the supposed victim. It can be a third party who can say that's a hate crime. Well, that's nonsense. This is kind of totalitarian territory where somebody can say, oh, I think that person is guilty of a crime, therefore they're going to be arrested and investigated and possibly charged. Under English law for centuries, you had to be guilty of a specific crime in law, not somebody's opinion of whether it constituted something or not. Well, that is a very dangerous path to go down. And we had perfectly good human rights in this country under our own English common law. We didn't need to adopt human rights legislation which came from the European Union, and we've seen the havoc that is causing.
Gerard Batten, thank you very much for joining us.